Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be sharing a video all about the books that I think deserve special editions. So I've been kind of like wanting to rearrange my bookshelves a little bit, though I am like pretty pleased with the way that it looks now. I've been realizing that I've gotten into a really good habit where as soon as I finish reading something, if it's not something that I foresee myself rereading, or if like the physical book doesn't make me very happy, I let go of it immediately, which has been very helpful for when I do book hauls. Then I do have space on my shelves because I'm just replacing things that I read, or my TBR cards too. But I've noticed that the books that I do tend to keep are books that I truly love, which obviously makes sense. And I do really like having multiple copies of books that I truly love. There are some books and series that I feel like I have kept because I love them so much, but they don't necessarily look the most aesthetically pleasing in my personal opinion. And I would love if book boxes like Illumicrate or Fairy Loot in particular, I think both of them do such a great job with their special editions. They're both doing some of the archival series now, so I wish that like hopefully they will hear my cries. These are series and stuff that I would purchase if they were to do editions of them. So first up would be the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. I would love if they did a special edition of these, like really beautiful hardcovers. I think that they could do so much, like just based on the world and the magic system. I'm definitely picturing lots of like metallic foiling, obviously some sprayed pages. I think that that would be absolutely beautiful. I don't hate the hardcovers that I do have, but I do feel like there is room for these to just be so much better. I know that Brandon Sanderson does sell the leather-bound versions on his website, and I do want to invest in those at some point. But I think it would be nice to have like a brighter set. Next up on my list is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. So this is actually the 10th anniversary edition, so it kind of is like a special edition and it's illustrated. But again, it's another one where I feel like there's so much potential for this to just be like a beautiful book. I'm picturing like a black cover, and it would be cool if they included Coraline on it, like, but in the yellow raincoat and the blue hair and everything. Like, I think that that would be really colorful and really striking, and maybe have like the pages sprayed that blue to match her hair color. I think that would be really beautiful. Next on my list would be Kings of the Wilds and Bloody Rose. I know that there was a very short print run of the first Kings of the Wilds in hardcover. I think that it was limited to like 500 copies, and I know this because I look it up all the time on eBay. I have an eBay alert set up for it. If they came out with Kings of the Wilds hardcovers again, I would 100% buy them. They didn't do any sprayed pages for the first one, if I'm remembering correctly, though it would be really nice to do them red to match the spine. I think that would be really cool. And then to do a matching edition for Bloody Rose. So for these, I would love if they did special editions, and like, I do like the cover art. I think the cover art is really fun, but I would totally be open to something like completely different and just like beautiful. If they ever re-release these in hardcover, I'm getting them like in a heartbeat. Next, I would really love to get a special edition of The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. There are so many special editions of the Folk of the Air series, but there are no special editions of The Darkest Part of the Forest. And I love this book so much. Like, I reread it when we did Fairy-a-thon, and it just like cemented my love of this. It's such an all-time favorite for me, and it makes me sad that Folk of the Air gets so much love and Darkest Part of the Forest is largely ignored, when there are characters from Darkest Part of the Forest that are also in the Folk of the Air trilogy. So again, like, I do think that this is a really pretty cover, but I do think that it could be a lot better, and I think that we could get sprayed pages, and it would be nice if they kind of would match like some of the other ones. Like, I have the Illumicrate versions of the Folk of the Air, which are stunning, and if they released Darkest Part of the Forest to go along with that, that would be mine. Next on my list is the Diviner series by Libba Bray. I have really high hopes that Illumicrate or Fairy Loot will re-release this series with pretty covers, because this is a completed series, so they can release the whole thing in one go. But honestly, this is just like the saddest series ever when it comes to covers. This is the really beautiful first one that is out of print, and they changed the covers. So I have this for the first one. I have a completely different cover for the second book, Lair of Dreams, and then I have matching covers for the books 3 and 4, which I do not like. I don't think that those are pretty at all. I only display this one on the top of my shelf where you're able to like see it, and the other ones are hidden behind my chair. But I love this series so much, and I would just love if somebody like gave it the attention that it deserves. Even the hardcover of this alone is so pretty. I just feel like if somebody put the time and effort into these, they could be absolutely stunning. And I know it would make so many people happy to have a complete matching set, because it is kind of devastating that all of the covers are different, especially if you are a book collector. Next on my list is The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. I actually really love the original covers. I think that they are pretty perfect as they are. So if somebody would re-release them but just spray the pages, that alone would entice me to buy them. Though I would also be curious to see some updated designs too. I love the series so much, and I do think that there is potential for these to have like really, really pretty editions. I have noticed though, it doesn't seem like a lot of book box companies work with Scholastic, so I don't know if that is like a barrier for getting these done, but I don't know. I think that this could be amazing. Next on my list is the Magicians trilogy by Lev Grossman. It is in the absolute corner behind my chair, and I can't reach it right now without moving all of my filming equipment, so that's why I'm not holding it up. But these books, I have like a love-hate relationship with them because they took me a little while to get into, but each book was so much better than the last one, and they read so well as a complete story. And I figured now too, with like the popularity of the television show, I'm sure that that has drawn in new audiences. And I just think that this series deserves like special pretty editions. Next on my list would be the Devouring Grey duology by Christine Lynn Herman. This is like an all-time favorite series for me, and I would love if these could get special editions. This one all takes place in like a spooky forest and like a very atmospheric upstate setting. So I feel like these could be really good if somebody were to redesign them. And I think it goes without saying at this point, but like sprayed pages on all the things. Next on my list would be the Beautiful Creatures series by Kami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. I'm currently reading the 4th one, so this is the one that I had closest to me, but I don't really like these paperbacks. I don't really think that they represent the series very well, and this is another one where I just feel like if this were to get a redesigned and sprayed edges and come out in hardcover, I would 100% invest in it. Like, I ended up liking this series so much more than I expected to, and I'm kind of disappointed that this is my only option of covers for these books. Next is the Shadow of the Fox trilogy by Julie Kagawa. I love this series. This again is another one that's an all-time favorite of mine, and this book is actually the Owl Crate version of the first book. The first book actually has like a black cover and this part is red, so it's just like an inverse. But I do feel like this series has such beautiful imagery that I would love if it were redesigned with some of like the nature elements. Like for instance, there's a scene in, I think it's the second book, Soul of the Sword, where they're just like surrounded by cherry blossoms. And if they were to like use that as inspiration for the covers, I would definitely buy those. And then also, again, would love sprayed pages. Next on my list would be another Maggie Stiefvater book, except this one is a standalone, and it's The Scorpio Races. I really love this book. It's another one that is a really atmospheric read. It's the perfect book for November. And again, it's one that I just feel like it could be redesigned so nicely if somebody were to put the time and effort into it. I feel like this book is often like underappreciated. Usually people sing the praises of the Raven Cycle, and then like long ago the werewolf series like Shiver, Linger, those books. I don't really feel like Scorpio Races is given enough attention, and if they did like a one-off special edition of this book, I would definitely be into it. Next would be the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Kerri Maniscalco. I do believe that Fairy Loot did editions of these, but I don't think that they were that different. I do think that there were sprayed pages, which I would definitely get those, but I do think that these could be redesigned to look so much better and just come, like, again, it's a completed series, so if they were to just release the whole thing with redesigned covers, I think that they could be really beautiful. I would definitely foresee like foiling on these covers. It just kind of has that feel to it, in my opinion, especially because of like the weapons. But yeah, I think that could be really beautiful. Next would be The Last Unicorn by Peter Beagle. This again is like an all-time favorite story, and it's one that I can only find in paperback, unfortunately. You know what? There was a newer edition of this that came out that I just remembered about, and I did get that one too, but I still feel like they could do better. This is another one where I feel like it would look really good with foiling, and I just like, yeah, I just feel like this could be so much better. Next would be Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. I'm actually really surprised that nobody has done a really, really beautiful edition of this, because the TV show came out, that was super popular. I think everyone who watched it loved it, and I feel like people would definitely invest in like a really pretty copy of this one. Next would be the To All the Boys series by Jenny Han. I think that these covers are like pretty perfect as they are, but if they were to release them with sprayed pages to match the font of the author name, so like this one would have neon pink, the second one would have neon blue, and the third one would have like a really pretty lavender kind of color, I think that alone would just improve these. And then two bonus series that I just want to mention are the Witcher series. Illumicrate started doing the Witcher series. They released The Last Wish like a year or two ago, and I definitely purchased that the second that it was released. I love it so much. It's so beautiful, and I really wish that they would continue on with the series. I know that they had some issues with printing, and I don't actually know if the first book ended up selling out, but even if they were to do smaller runs of the subsequent books, it would just be nice to have like a matching pretty edition of The Witcher on my shelves. And then the last series that I will mention is the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I know that there is a book box that is redoing the Mortal Instruments at the moment. I think it's Litjoy Crate, if I'm remembering correctly, but I don't actually like how they look. I don't think that they're that special. I would like them if they were more in the vein of like the Illumicrate version of the Infernal Devices. Like if they were to do it like that, but like use all different colors for them, in a heartbeat would buy the entire series. So those are all of the books that I really wish that publishers or book boxes would make special editions of. Let me know if there are any books that you feel like should be given some special attention and have new editions too. That's all that I have for this video, so I will see you guys soon in a new one. Bye!